Hi, I'm Clint, and behind me is my little girl Roxy. One of the developments in online shopping is the internet pharmacy. If you use an online internet pharmacy to fill your prescription medications, you could result in some pretty decent cost savings. Now, this same development has now moved over to the pet world. There are now online internet pet pharmacies. So as a pet owner, you might be asking yourself, should you use an online pet pharmacy? Well, it turns out that I have direct experience as a customer with online pet pharmacies, and I would like to share my experience with you. I live in Canada with both of my dogs, and in the area that we live in, it's known as a heartworm territory. So all the dogs in this area are highly recommended by the vet clinics to go on heartworm preventative medication for the season. And typically up here, the season will last from June through to November. So every month starting in June, my dogs go on 1 tablet of heartworm preventative medication. And in their case, they're on a brand called Sentinel. During their first year, I bought Sentinel from my vet clinic in Montreal because I didn't know any better. Let me share with you the cost. At this vet clinic, it was $82 for 6 tablets of Sentinel. And since I have 2 dogs, that means I paid $164 to cover both of my dogs. Now this is rather expensive. So for the following season, I wanted to find out if there were any cost savings anywhere. That's when I started to research on internet pet pharmacies. I found a few of them, did some browsing, and I ended up ordering Sentinel from one particular pet pharmacy. Here's the cost I paid. Instead of $82 for 6 tablets of Sentinel, I paid $66 for 6 tablets, for a total of $132 covering both of my dogs. That's a 20% savings right there. Now, depending on the online pharmacy and the type of medication, you could probably save even more than 20%. The thing about online pharmacies is that you must fax in a written prescription for all prescription medications. And of course, this written prescription must come from your veterinarian. At first, I didn't know if my vet would be willing to give me a written prescription, because if he did, he would be losing his dispensing business. But to my pleasant surprise, my vet in Montreal happily gave me a written prescription. And when I relocated back here to Ontario, the vet clinic I use here also had no problems giving me a written prescription. I think these veterinarians, they know that these online pharmacies do exist, and if they could help patients save money, why not? My personal opinion on this, or position, is that if I ever do run into a vet that refuses to give me a written prescription because he or she insists that I get all my prescription medication from the clinic, then for ethical purposes, I think that I would consider switching vet clinics. Now, having said that, would I use online pet pharmacies for all my pet medications? No. If I did have to bring in my dog for some type of injury or infection, and if I required medication right away, I'm not going to wait the 1 or 2 weeks of shipping from the pet pharmacy. I'm going to pay the price, the higher price, to get the medication right away from the vet clinic. But for medications like heartworm preventative treatment, and even medications to prevent against, let's say, flea and tick infection, these are medications which are ongoing, they're relatively long-term, and you know that your dog is going to go on them in advance. And in this type of situation, waiting for 1 or 2 weeks is not going to be a problem, especially for the cost savings. So for those types of instances, I would use a pet pharmacy. Now, depending on where you live, there might be some regulations that restrict the importation of prescription medications from outside your country. Up here in Canada, we are not allowed to import prescription medications from outside. That means I can't order from an online pharmacy that's based in the United States, for example, but I can order from one that's based right here in Canada. So you have to check for yourself to see if such regulations exist in your country. For more information on online internet pet pharmacies, check out the web page that I'm going to list right here on this screen. I even list some names, some examples of internet pet pharmacies for you. And hopefully they will result in some cost savings for your pet medications.